Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, our production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back from Europe, where he's doing some great biz dev. Tim Daniels, he's executive chairman at AIML Innovations, trades in Canada under AIML, and for our friends in the US, AIMLF. For those who are new to the story, AIML is capitalizing on the growing, we know it, we've said it on Agoracom as our thesis, the burgeoning areas of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And they've got an initial focus on emerging companies in the digital healthcare space. More than just lip service, because a lot of companies are trying to use AI, healthcare to try and create some buzz. The company, for example, amongst many things, successfully displayed its proof of concept in a study funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, further validating its technology. Its key subsidiary, HealthGauge, is bespoke. So I know a lot of people don't know that. Customized personal health monitoring and management system that combines the latest wearable monitors with the power of leading AI and machine learning tools. But it's not just wearables, guys. It goes way beyond wearables. In fact, I've got it on right here. And it's an amazing product. It's become a secure and trusted means for clients to engage clinical resources and health coaching as part of their regular healthcare process and ongoing health management. All right. So you've got real-time data capture, provides fast feedback. What does that do? Results in better outcomes, better living objectives, because you're able to make immediate and better health choices. And that's the power of the AIML side. More than just lip service. Again, they've secured 3 key partnerships to assist in addressing the FDA requirements for entering the US market. But today's press release, AIML strategic partner Tech2Health projects $5 million US in revenue from its first commercial contracts. Tim, welcome back.
Good to be back, George. Thanks for having me.
Hey, great to have you, because that number just jumped out at everybody when we saw it. So you, before we go into the details of this $5 million revenue from their first commercial contracts, quickly, who is Tech2Health and how are they delivering digital mental health? Because I think it's amazing.
Yeah, love to tell you the story. So Tech2Health is a Paris, France-based company that's a digital health innovator with a basket of wellness, health tech products and services that are really designed to help improve an individual's mental well-being. And they are very well positioned to help provide support for the current mental health pandemic that's ongoing. And a lot of people aren't aware of that in part because of the coronavirus pandemic, we're now seeing the second pandemic that's come upon us, and that's a mental health pandemic. And right across the board, the incidences of things like depression and anxiety, suicide, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, spousal abuse, and so on have skyrocketed in the last year. And in fact, recently there was a large survey where they found that nearly half of employees globally consider their mental state of health to be at some lower level than what it was a year ago. So we're really witnessing this new pandemic on the mental health front, and a company like Tech2Health is uniquely positioned to help provide support to that problem through their unique blend of proprietary digital assets, remote live counseling, and physical wellness centers. So it's a very unique company.
And what I find really interesting, Tim, is that we're all used to the paradigm shift that's still taking place, including things like this on the physical health side, right? Mm-hmm. The remote monitoring and assessment of our physical health. But this is the first time I've seen digital mental health. And to be clear, I want everyone at home to know that the company's already signed 3 agreements. So this isn't just somebody with an idea that says, hey, we can deal with mental health digitally. The 3 signed contracts are a leading French multinational manufacturer with over 170,000 employees globally. Mappa Assurance, a 110-year-old French language insurance provider, and Elixir Santé, a French web-based health insurance market. Altogether, Tim, they're going to bring in about 300,000, a base of 300,000 employees. So is this significant third-party validation that says, hey, Tech2Health is not just an idea, they're already lighting it up?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important to note that those 3 contracts, which you mentioned, which, collectively are projected to equate to about $5 million worth of revenue. And that's a very conservative projection. We can talk about that in a minute. But I think it's really important to note that those 3 contracts were signed within the first month of them going live with their platform. And there's many other discussions underway with other large companies and insurance platforms that that we expect to also see signed on over the upcoming months. So this is just the beginning.
When I saw that number, I took a look at the headline, $5 million projected revenue, which is nothing to sneeze at, by the way. But then I looked at the 3 clients, and you talk about well over 300,000 employees. Is it safe to assume that this is a conservative number and you guys just want to give a number that you could hit, but most likely will be much higher? Because I do basic back of napkin math, and it seems much higher to me.
Yeah, clearly. And you're absolutely right. We wanted to, make sure that we set the bar low so that we were able to clear it easily. I don't think anybody will be upset if we exceed, those projections. So, so that was the whole point. And the reason why the fashion in which it's conservative is in a couple of ways. Number one, these projections are based on the historical traction that you would expect to get from this sort of size employee base from historical traditional mental health support functions.
Physical, I guess we
physical. Right.
How many times will George go to see an actual practitioner again?
Right, exactly.
This is digital.
And so the reason why it's conservative is a couple-fold. That number one, those traditional numbers are based on the potential user, reaching into your own pocket and paying for those services. This model, all these services are being covered either by the employer or by the insurance company. So the employee themselves are not paying for the services. And as you know, employees or anybody are more willing to use a service if they're not having to reach into their own pocket to pay for it. So that's number one. Number two, because it is digital, it's more discreet. And when it comes to things like mental health, people are still a little bit feeling awkward about coming forward with their concerns about their mental health. So the fact that this is a service that can be provided to them in complete privacy is something that also will, in our opinion, increase the traction over what you would normally get. But the third and most important is that in Europe, there's a new law that's coming in at the beginning of 2022, so in less than 6 months now, where the employers or the insurer must cover mental health issues for the employees for their digital therapies to the extent of, well, it works out to about $3,500 per employee per year. So, and these numbers that we've projected, the 5 million, is only based on $60 consultation fees, not the $3,500 full therapy. So when you start to do the math and replace the $60 consultation fee with $3,500 therapy, all of a sudden the numbers get really big really fast.
Yeah, if you do just 1% uptake times the total base times the 3,500, I'm not going to do the math for people. You can do it, or 2%. The numbers start to really climb. By the way, Tim, isn't there also a fourth reason for why these are conservative numbers, and that's what you alluded to earlier? We've never had, not in our lifetime anyways, I don't want to say in history, but not in our lifetime, 50% of workforces feeling as if their mental health has diminished over the last 12 months. We've just never seen this before. So you're also starting from a much bigger, unfortunately, from a much bigger target base, because we've never seen this level of anxiety and depression before.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That unfortunately is the reality, is that you're hard pressed to find anyone who over the last year hasn't suffered some degree of anxiety or insecurity or depression because of the situation that we've all lived through globally, and it's not over yet.
One more question about the biz side. If they were able to sign 3 commercial contracts in their first month, basically, what does the pipeline look for them? I know you can't give projections and things like that, but I've got to assume they didn't just get lucky.
No, they didn't. And the part of what we look for when we're looking for new acquisitions is, companies that have some sort of uniqueness, some sort of, proprietary technology or service that gives them a leg up over their competition, and also makes it more difficult for their competition to catch up. But the other thing that we look for and understand is that when we're investing in young companies, more than anything else, what we're investing in is the people and who they are and what they've done in the past. In the case of Tech2Health, it is an experienced management team that has had success over the last few years in the mental health space and in the digital wellness space. And so they've demonstrated that they know what they're doing. And over the past few years, they were able to sign on several very large European and South American based insurers and industrial companies. And so are they expecting to be able to migrate some of their past customers over to their new platform? Yeah, you bet. And those discussions are underway right now. So
let's talk about the status of your relationship, because you've got a binding LOI to acquire 70% interest in their North American rights to their products and brands. And as well as that, a 22.22, I'll just say 22% interest in their global operations, which by the sounds of this press release alone, looks like they're going to do fantastic. What's the status of that binding LOI, which, by the way, for everyone at home, is much stronger than a regular LOI? Binding LOI, as you can imagine, binding makes it much firmer. Can you give us a ballpark status there, what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, it was, binding and subject to only to us completing our due diligence, going through our last checks on, the company status, the paperwork, the technology, and so on and so forth. There was and is no out from their side. So it's only subject to us completing our due diligence and being satisfied. And then we can proceed with the finalization of the agreement. And I can tell you that the paperwork is well along the path of being completed, and I would expect over the course of just the next couple of weeks that it'll all be completed and done and announced. So
that's great, because we know in the summertime sometimes things get slow in Europe. People take vacations, the lawyers are away. And it can take a little bit longer. So when that happens and it gets firmed up, who goes after the North American market? Are they still going after the North American market? and you're just getting that 70% undivided interest, or do you have to go create the biz dev and go after the North American market?
So we're working in tandem in the North American market, and I can tell you that I've been doing some legwork to that end already, and that I'm in a serious level of dialogue. Let me word it that way.
Sure.
With a substantial U.S.-based healthcare provider who's very, very interested in what we're doing and is very interested in partnering with us in the U.S. market. So we're already making some substantial inroads into the U.S. market, but it will be a collective effort between us at AIML and the folks from Tech2Health. The other thing that I think that's really important to shed a little more light on is what this means to our existing business acquisition, that being HealthGauge. This,
I was about to ask you, where are we at with health?
and part of what we look for when we do acquisitions is, of course, companies that have the ability to survive and thrive as a standalone entity underneath the AIML umbrella, of course, because each subsidiary is expected to survive on their own. But at the same time, we're looking for companies that have good synergy with other divisions
Absolutely.
within our portfolio already. And I'll give you an example. You already mentioned that Tech2Health signed a contract with a European-based major industrial company with 170,000 employees worldwide to supply mental health support to their employees. Great. As soon as that contract was signed, this industrial company came back to Tech2Health and said, well, that's great. We're happy with that. But we have another issue that we wonder if you can help us with. We have a significant percentage of our employees that are suffering from hypertension, from high blood pressure issues. Do you have, or do you know of any other companies that might have a product that would help us monitor and support our employees with their high blood pressure issue? And yeah, we just said, yeah, boy, do we ever.
I monitor my blood pressure with this 2-3 times a day. I just
exactly. And so that sort of overlap, that sort of ability for one of our divisions to leverage and piggyback off the other is very, very important to us and part of our business model going forward. So that was one example of how HealthGauge is looking to leverage the inroads that Tech2Health has already made with one of its contracts. And the opposite is happening as well, where on the other side of the coin, HealthGauge is making some significant inroads with numerous potential partners throughout North America, and each one of those partners are potential inroads for Tech2Health as well, to help them penetrate the North American market. So again, that ability to work together and also to leverage off of each other's technologies and market share is a very, very important part of our business model going forward. And the other thing that this acquisition does for AIML is it diversifies us, not only across different sectors of the digital healthcare industry, but geopolitically as well. Whereas Tech2Health has real strength throughout Europe and South America, and HealthGauge, their wheelhouse is North America. And so by combining those entities, it gives AIML a global presence and diversification over a number of different market segments and a number of different geopolitical regions. And that's really important to our growth strategy over the long run as well.
You know, was it by design, or were you just fortunate enough to have, you know, one of the acquisitions be physical health, again, with health gauge, you know, so
Yeah.
blood pressure, heart rate, stress levels, ECG. By the way, for everybody at home, you've got to order this off the AIML site. It's not your basic, I won't name the name, but it's not your basic health monitoring. Here's my heart rate and here's how many steps I've done. It goes really, really deep. Was it just serendipitous that you've got a fantastic physical health monitoring and management system, and now a mental health, a digital mental health system that could potentially make AIML an end-to-end solution for companies around the world? Because if my mental health is if the mental health of my employees are degenerating, then it's probably the physical health that's going as well, right?
Exactly, for sure. You know, the mental health and physical health go hand in hand, and I'm a great believer that, you know, the people who get the luckiest in life are also the hardest working people. So, so what I'll say is that, yeah, we carefully, you know, look under as many different rocks as we can. And I'm not sure that's a great analogy, but, you know, we're looking globally for different acquisitions, and we are very careful to make sure that there is, you know, both synergy and separation between, you know, what the different companies are doing. And we do have a number of other potential acquisitions that we are continuing in dialogue with, continuing in our due diligence with. So, you know, stay tuned. This isn't the end of our acquisitions. And I can tell you that, once again, if, as and when we make the next acquisition, it will be, you know, both complementary and as well as being in a separate space from the other two acquisitions. So we purposefully look for companies that fit that sort of a model.
Well, I got to tell you, Tim, knock on wood, but it seems like you guys are hitting it out of the park with your first two already. These aren't little rinky-dinky ideas. These aren't things that haven't really proven themselves, and you're a long way off from even getting to market. You're going to market. You're attracting the attention of some very, very, very big players. I love the fact that it's B2B. I really love that. If that hasn't been clear to people at home watching or listening, it's not that you're trying to go after George and Mary and Bob individually. You know, your market are the employers of, you know, like this big French multinational with 170,000 employees. I love that business model versus, you know, the B2C potential killer of trying to compete worldwide. So if these first two are anything, are an indication of what's coming, great things are coming to AIML.
Yeah, you know, one thing I would add is that, you know, companies are really starting to get that they have both a responsibility and it's in their best interest to make sure that they're taking care of the both the physical and mental well-being of their employees. In other words, healthy employees equals a healthy company. And the studies out there on the mental health side support that it is good business. For every dollar that companies spend towards the mental well-being of their employees, they're seeing a $4 return to the company in terms of better productivity, less downtime, and so on and so forth. So it's not only the right thing to do, it's economically the smart thing for companies to do as well.
Yeah, and I'll end with this. It's also both you and the clients, you know, these three and further clients are going to come. You're also doing a massive you're also giving a massive benefits to society, because you're reducing the costs and stresses on what are overburdened healthcare systems all over the world right now. So if you guys are able to take care of the physical and mental health of that many people through digital means, it just you're doing all of us a solid, because there's that much less stress on the existing physical infrastructure health system.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We consider all of society to be a part of our stakeholders that need to benefit from what we're doing.
Tim, congratulations to you and your team. on what you guys have done. Can't wait for the Tech2Health acquisition to become official. And if it's the next couple of weeks, we're going to have you right back on here, because then we can do an even deeper dive into the company, because I'm sure everyone wants to know even more about it and everything it does. And continued success, my man, to you and your team.
Thank you, George. I'm looking forward to getting back on.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform, to Tim Daniels, Executive Chairman at AIML Innovations, trades in Canada under the stock symbol AIML, and for our friends in the US under AIMLF. You've heard or you've watched what Tim's had to say. Your job now is due diligence. You know the size of this problem. It's a massive problem. You got to decide if the company's going to be able to solve, or at least make a major, make a major dent in this problem. How to do your due diligence? First, get to Agoracom, get to the company's profile page, and get a good 10,000 foot view, because there's a lot of technology and a lot of moving parts going on here. Once you're comfortable with that, second thing to do, get over the AIML website. You can go there directly from Agoracom and do your deep dive due diligence. Just don't tell us 12 months from now we didn't tell you so. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, the video's over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our YouTube channel so you never miss another great Agoracom small cap video.